So here we are again with the Einhell planer thicknesser, and I'm looking into the issue of snipe, which is where, so let me get a piece of wood here, this'll do, which is where, as your piece that you're working on comes across, everything's fine, but when it gets to that last little bit and it comes off the feed bed, if that's what you call it, you then get a thin bit, so it goes in at the end. In fact, you can see it on this very piece. See that little dip down there? There's a definite ridge there, which you can see. That's called snipe, and I think I figured out why that is. So if I just take this blade and get it somewhere in the middle, it's difficult to do with one hand, rest this straight edge on, look. So that tells me that that blade is riding high. So to my mind, as it, so that it comes in there, piece comes in there, it starts getting chopped, and then as it gets to here, it drops further. Is that right? What if I adjust this up all the way? So that's all the way up. It's taking off virtually nothing now. Let's try that. Yeah, I still think that that is sticking up further than this bed here. So what I've got to do, I think, is adjust it down slightly. So that's what I'm going to try and do. So, having watched a little video on how to do this, I've got a piece of wood on. I've lowered, this is the adjustable side, the adjustable bed. This is the fixed bed, this side, that doesn't move. And I've got some marks. I did a bit of a bad job doing it, but I've got some lines going across, and they're supposed to be about 5 mil each apart, but you know, it doesn't really matter that much. You just want to get to see how much the wood moves when you rotate the blade. So as I rotate this blade, the wood moves, right? Because the blade has to touch the wood, and it goes backwards and forwards. It's supposed to go about 5 mil, so it's supposed to go from about there to about there. If it goes more than that, the blade's too high and it's taking too much wood. So I'm going to rotate this now, and you watch this. It should go to the middle line. Where does it go? Okay, so it went all the way over, so that's gone about 1 centimetre, so that's twice as far. I'll go back the other way. It's taking too much. That blade is too high. And that's good, because that's what I thought was wrong. It's taking too much wood. So now what I have to do is adjust the blade, which means I've got to, can you see in there? I've got to adjust all these little bolts in here. There's a bolt there and a bolt there. It's a bit dark in there, but you can probably just see them. So I'll just try and do that now. So let's just right, so wrong end. Let's loosen these off. Of course, there's 2 blades as well, so I've got to do this twice, but hey, I'm just loosening. I'm not doing anything too drastic. And they're only nipped in. They're not really squeezing hard. What is there? 4, 5. Now what's happening? Ah, there's some springs in there. I've looked in the instructions, you know, and it doesn't say. So it's springing up, which is not what I was expecting it to do. How are you supposed to? Huh. How are you supposed to make a minute adjustment when the thing's on blooming springs? I'm going to take it out and investigate. Yeah, one there. One there. There's my blade. That's a nice looking blade, nothing wrong with that. Ooh, this is fiddly. And now one of the springs has come out. Okay, it's back in. Blade goes on like that. Whole thing sits in there. So all I've done is taken it out and put it back in again, and I've pushed it down a bit. So I don't know if that's going to make any difference, but let's do the old does it move test. Let's do it on that end first. I'm just going to move the blade back now. So that's still going a centimetre. So for me, that's got to go down further. Yeah. What's it like at the other end? Let me just test the other end. Exactly the same. So that's got to be pressed down, which I guess means what? I've got to loosen these off and press it down. Is that what I've got to do? Loose, 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 loose. It doesn't want to go down any further. There's this thing. I don't really know what to do with this thing. Ah. 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 That's moved the blade a lot. Let's do the wood test. All right, that's now that's all right. Okay, that's not touching the wood at all. So it's actually got to come back out.
Okay, so I thought I'd spare you this tedious and long process by speeding it up. This is 4 times faster, and the whole thing took me about 15 minutes of tweaking and fiddling and bolting and unbolting and trying to use that adjustment tool thing that came with it. Now, I'm very open to being wrong. As you know, this video channel is all about me being clueless and learning as I'm going. But I've got to say, this adjustment process was painful. And no, I didn't cut myself on the blade, but just, oh, so tedious. The video I did see was a guy adjusting his blade on his great big posh one, you know, proper professional type one, planer thicknesser. And when he did it, he would loosen the bolts, the screws there. Yeah, no, sorry, the nuts on the bolts. And he had adjustment screws. So at either end of the blade, there were tiny little screws that he could then screw down or screw up to make micro adjustments on that blade. And when you're dealing with fractions of a millimetre here, that's the kind of control you need. I can't just bodge this by like pushing it against springs, trying to hold it in position, tightening it up. And when I use that tool there, it kind of wasn't in the right place, or I'm using the tool wrong, or I don't know. Now, as I'm speaking, I just had a thought. Maybe I needed to put the tool on the other side and adjust the bed. Oh no! Anyway, back to me.
All right, I think I've adjusted the blades. We'll see now, won't we? I'm going to run this through, and I want to do one side on one end and one side on the other, so I haven't put the blade cover over. So we'll see, won't we? We'll see what happens. Well, if there is some snipe, it's certainly a lot less. Maybe a little bit on the end there, but it's much less than it was. Let me try the other end, the other side. I did notice I did have to actually wind this adjustable table down a lot more to get a cut. So let's see. Still sniping a little bit. I think I can move one of those blades down slightly and it'll be a bit better, but adjusting the blades on the Einhell planer thicknesser, what a massive faff.